Is it cheaper to outsource your IT or to have it in-house? So this is a question we get asked on a regular basis. And being an outsourced IT company, you would imagine that I would say to you that it's always cheaper and better to outsource your IT. But the honest answer is there are times where it's cheaper and better to have your IT in-house. So today I'll run through where we see the benefits of having in-house IT, where we find that the benefits of outsourcing it are, and what the costs are at each of those for each of those situations. So, the honest answer of what people are saying here is it cheaper to hire an internal IT person to work for you in the business, or to pay a company similar to Genmar to do that IT support and manage the IT systems for you? So to start to understand this, we first need to understand how much does it cost to hire an IT person. So if you're looking at a typical IT salary for a support person, you're going to be looking at maybe £35,000 a year at the moment, as of the recording of this video. And obviously that can change quite a lot. If you're looking for especially one person to look after your IT for a small business, for instance, you're going to need a fairly well-rounded IT individual, not like a brand new, like apprentice, for instance. They're going to need to have some experience. So £35,000 a year is probably the starting point for a salary that you'd pay someone. On top of that, you're obviously going to be paying for things like national insurance, for their pensions, holiday and sickness cover, their training, their hardware, their software requirements, the recruitment fees, the management time, all those other things on top. You'll typically find that you're probably looking after that about sort of £50,000 to £55,000 a year total cost to the business for having the IT person working in the business, which is a lot. It's a lot of extra cost. Where that leads us to is, how much does it cost to outsource the IT? So, typically speaking, you're looking at sort of £40 to £60 a month per user of the business to outsource your IT support. So we'll go through in a moment and compare at different, different staff headcount amounts where that sits between the two. And like I say, there are situations where it is actually more cost effective to have people in-house. And before we get into that, I guess we'll talk about the sort of three different ways that you can have this. So there's obviously the full in-house IT support, which is that you don't outsource any of your IT. You've got people that work in the business and they look after all of your IT for you. You've then got outsourced. So all of your IT support is passed off to an external company. They look after all your IT for you, and no one in the business does any IT functions. And then the third one is hybrid. So you have some in-house IT resource. You have an IT person that works for you in your business, and then some of the responsibilities are pushed to an outsourced IT company. So if we have a look at, we have a pricing calculator on our website that I'll just share my screen and go through now. So what you'll see here is we can calculate based on the number of employees, the number of, that will then calculate the number of internal staff that you'll require to look after your IT. You can play around with the IT salary, and also what your other IT costs will be outside of the person, so your licensing and things like that, for instance. So what you'll see, the default set here is 75 users. So for 75 users, you'll need 2 IT people working for you full time if you're going to do that all in-house, because one person won't be able to cover that amount of IT support requirements. Also, you've got to think about the fact that if you only had one person, if they're ever off on holiday or sick, you'd have no IT support whatsoever. So, 2 people is about right here. We put the average salary here at 35,000, and then, £1,500 of extra cost in terms of different tools and things that you'll need for that IT person to manage your IT internally. So remote access software and things like that they're going to need, ticketing systems and things to look after your IT. So if you look at the 3 price points here, your in-house IT support is going to be about £125,000 a year. And to just fully outsource this to an IT company is going to be around £90,000, £92,000 per year. And then there's also the hybrid model here, which is around £111,000. So what you'll see is that really the smaller you get with this, the fewer number of staff that they're looking after, actually the better it is to look at outsourcing the IT. Because if you've got 25 users, for instance, and you're looking after them with one member of staff at £35,000 a year, your in-house costs, bearing in mind all those other additional national insurance, pensions, everything else, are going to add up to over £70,000. And you're only going to have one IT person looking after it. So if they're ever on sick or holiday or anything, you're going to have no IT support. Whereas outsourcing, it's going to be 40,000. So I know when I started this video, I said that I would show you reasons why sometimes it is better to have people in-house. But to start with, for a small company, it's basically always better to outsource the IT because it's going to be cheaper and better. Where it starts to make more sense to have people in-house is where the company becomes larger. So if we move this calculator all the way up to, say, 200 members of staff, you'll see here you're starting to get to this price point where it's now becoming cheaper to have a hybrid model. And what we mean here is that you could have 1 or 2 members of IT staff that you have in your payroll. They're sitting in your business and they are doing some of the day-to-day first-line support work for you. Some people might even find that better because they're in person, they're right there with you, they're working from within your building, they're only your staff, they're not been working on any other customers. The only problem with that is that, you've only got 2 people, and how far can their knowledge stretch? Do they know everything about security? Do they know everything about cloud? Do they know everything about strategy and implementation, everything like that? If you were to try and find people that know all of that, you'd be paying really high salary costs. The reason why we're saying hybrid here rather than in-house is that you could have 1 or 2 sort of junior members of IT staff that are staying with you doing that first line support, but then still outsource the more technical, more complicated, more strategy-led project, security-focused work to an outsourced IT company that's got specialized engineers that know about security and networking and projects and everything else, that they can focus on that work and give you more of a dedicated resource with the specific specialist knowledge in those areas. When you get over 250 users in the business, you'll then start to see that it actually, first of all, the hybrid model becomes much cheaper, and you'll even get to the point where you get to sort of 400, 500, 600 staff. The pure in-house IT model actually becomes cheaper. At that amount of staff and the amount of money that you can then spend on salaries, you can then afford to hire lots of different specializations IT people. You could have an IT manager that's managing that whole team, making sure they're all doing the things they're supposed to be doing. They're getting their relevant training and certifications and things, and they all understand what they should be doing in the business. And you lose some of the requirements of needing to have any outsourced IT. You'll often find that still a hybrid model can still work very well, even for really big businesses that are over 1,000 staff, because there are specific requirements that maybe a larger MSP can sort of deal with those in a more efficient way. But really, after that sort of 250 user count, it starts to make less sense to have a fully outsourced IT environment where an outsourced IT company is doing the whole system for you and you're not doing anything in-house.